Giggles podcast.
Hello.
Yo.
Cool. We have a fun one today. Welcome back, guys. We are going to be doing some quick-fire questions, and then we have a longer question that we're going to answer at the end as well. So stay with us. Hopefully we get your entertainment juices flowing. And then we get some more serious stuff towards the end. So we did a poll on Spotify. Was it a poll or a questionnaire?
It was on Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
On the gram.
Yeah, you're listening on Spotify, most likely. And then, we're just going to roll through them. There's some serious ones and not so serious ones. We'll take turns in answering them. And we're going to start off with probably the one that KPow's going to feel the most strongly about. And this is, what is the best flavour of Monster and why Jono should try it?
I mean, these are quick fire questions, so I'll try and keep it short. I love all of the sugar-free versions of the Monsters and occasionally the sugared ones. This is a hard one because they're all so good. You can't go past the original. The white one is amazing. But I would say you've got to try the Rosa flavour, the pink can, the sugar-free one, because there's two. There's a pink one that's not sugar-free, also tastes amazing. And then there's a pink sugar-free one as well. But in my opinion, Jono should try them all because it's just experience of life that you have to try.
I'm going to argue against that and still say no.
I'm going to make you try one day, next time.
Why sugar-free? Is that just because you're watching your weight?
I'm always watching my weight. No,
Yeah,
because
is that why?
I'd prefer to eat my carbs.
Oh, that's where we do not agree, hey, because I would prefer to drink all my macros.
I'll take that back. It does depend. Like if I'm at a comp, then I'll have the sugar ones because obviously you're trying to get more carbs in.
Yep.
But depends on the time of the day and what I'm doing. And I'll have the sugar ones every now and again, but I can drink more of the sugar-free ones.
So that's why.
Because there's like 65 grams of sugar in them.
Is there?
Yeah.
Solid.
That's a lot.
That's nice.
So that was kind of quick, I guess.
Yeah, this is good. Well, I had to ask about it. All right, this one's a bit more serious. Thoughts on fasted training for weight loss?
You go first.
Yeah? Okay. My initial thoughts on this is to simplify it as much as I can. That if you're doing fasted training, you're probably starting your day off with training or very close to when you've woken up. And so what I'm assuming is that you're just not going to eat till after training, and therefore you have a bigger window where you're not eating anything. So you're going to create you're going to have an easier way of creating a calorie deficit by the end of the day. The thoughts on fasted training for performance and everything, I have read a fair bit into that, but for the weight loss side of things, I would just say you're just creating more of a window to not eat.
So then that kind of goes into whether you're trying to achieve intermittent fasting specifically or whether it's just fasted cardio essentially. So I'm a massive advocate for intermittent fasting. It works really well for me and I love it. I get really good results. I would argue that it's not created from a calorie deficit because I'll still track my calories while I'm intermittent fasting and make sure that I'm still hitting 3,000 calories or whatever the target is during that specific time. So I'm still making sure that I'm getting X amount of calories in, but I'll fast for the morning. So, like you said, the side of performance, I probably wouldn't be doing any sort of fasted training if you're purely looking for performance, but if it was for weight loss specifically, then there's definitely going to be some sort of benefits there.
Cool. All right. That was quick.
The only thing there is it does. Yeah, sorry. It does make it a bit harder to have like full intensity. So it does depend on the type of training that you're doing as well. Typically, your cardio is going to be like not a slow, but like a moderate, steady pace for a longer time frame. If you're doing like your high intensity interval training sort of CrossFit style workouts where it's like 90 to 100% intensity for a shorter time frame, I don't think you're going to get quite the performance output, which is then going to kind of it's going to play into how well your weight loss or like how successful your weight loss is there as well. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if you're going in for bodybuilding compared to a 10K run, the body's going to need different fuel at different times for that. So you'll have different effects.
So like
Ooh.
cardio in a slow to moderate, longer time frame, go for it.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're going to get quite as good of benefits from the high intensity stuff fasted. You'll still get benefits. I'm not saying you won't, but I think there'd be a better return from the longer time frame.
And despite what everyone says, warn everyone around you because you're going to be moody AF. So get some food in as soon as you can afterwards.
Yeah.
Please. But not too much if you're looking for weight loss.
Yeah.
All right, this one's probably the most important one ever. What's for dinner?
Oh, God. I wonder who wrote that one in. For me, it's always different. I don't have a set dinner, really.
Really?
No, not really. I mean, Eb will meal prep through and have dinners for the whole week, and it'll be the same dinner every single night. But I haven't been meal prepping for the last month and a half, so I'll have whatever's for dinner.
That's fair. Bit of a different lifestyle right now for you.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to going back to work.
No, I'll typically have whatever the family's having, but that will usually be subbed out 90% of the time for just either eggs and rice or red mince and rice.
Yeah,
and that's
typically
it.
It's whatever's going to fit my macro needs.
And if you're wondering what's for dinner tonight, I have no idea.
Yeah, that makes two of us. Probably popcorn and Stranger Things.
Wow.
We're rewatching Stranger Things.
Really?
Yep.
I haven't even started it.
Oh, you
No,
should.
that's a lie. I tried.
It's good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just reading them all out. Hope that's okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. Which would you prefer? Matt Fraser's lifting techers, aka technique for those old timers, or Sam Briggs' engine? Do you know what? I wonder if people on this podcast even know who Sam Briggs is.
People should know. People should know who Sam Briggs is.
Imagine if they don't.
For a little bit of context, she is like the GOAT when it comes to engine work at the games.
Like
the highest level. She beats like 90% of the men in the engine style workouts.
It's insane.
Nuts.
And she's tiny. She's a little human.
So what would you prefer?
I think purely just because I work harder on lifting technique, I would like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I need to work harder on lifting technique than I do with engine work.
So you
because
just
I come
want
from an
the
engine background.
Just give me the technique and I'll work on the engine stuff.
Yeah. I enjoy working on the engine stuff. I get bored working on the technique stuff.
I'd go the other way. I'd go with the engine. Yep, because I find it hard to get that top end engine.
Yeah.
Whereas like Sam Briggs has it. I guess you could argue the same for the top end strength. It's harder to get to that, but yeah.
I think
reckon. I'd go with the
what
engine.
if the question was, would you prefer Matt Fraser's strength rather than just technique?
There's stronger guys out there.
Yeah, not many.
No, not many. I'd still go with the engine.
Yeah?
I reckon. Lock it in, Eddie.
Lock it in. All right. All right. Next question is barefoot lifting, yay or nay?
I haven't had any personal experience with barefoot lifting. I have recently bought myself a pair of the wide toe box shoes for the similar sort of methodology as to why people train barefoot, and I would be all about it. If you honestly think that the amount of tendons and ligaments and muscles and stuff that keep the shoulder in place, that if you don't have them in your foot, you're stupid. There's so many there is so many stabilizers and stuff that are in your foot that if you aren't training them, if that's a neglected part of your training, that I feel like you're missing a component of stability. So I would definitely, I'm probably actually going to start trying it now. But yeah, I would I'd be all for it. I haven't done the research in it, but that would be something that I would look into before. I wouldn't just go gun ho into, okay, I'm going to do everything barefoot now, because I don't know. Depending on where you are, it might be too much of an adjustment straight away that you might end up hurting yourself. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I haven't done all the research on it to 100% back it, but I can definitely see the credibility in it.
Neither have I done the research. I have lifted barefoot, so I used to do a lot of my power lifts barefoot. So deadlift and squat. I mean, bench press doesn't really matter. Sorry, power lifters. I know you drive through your legs, use your feet, whatever, but like, I'm just going to say nothing more. And I did find a lot of benefit from it, but it's nothing that I've actually focused on. So outside of that, like I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is such a different like sensation than just relying on like your shoe to kind of stabilize the foot.
Yeah.
You actually have to you feel everything's engaged, which is quite nice. But I don't really have an opinion above that.
Yeah.
Or knowledge.
Yeah. I wouldn't really be like, you have to do it, or don't do it.
No.
Like, I'd give it a try. If it works for you, if you find the benefits from it, keep doing it. And then, if you don't, then you don't.
1 second. I've changed. I have an opinion.
That was quick.
If you wear those shoes that have the little toe thingies, I've had them before. I wore them like once or twice, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? Don't you ever come to my gym. Yep, someone's going to now. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, next ones. So what would be your best or quickest tip for weight loss?
Quickest tip for weight loss?
Yep. This might ruffle some feathers because I think we're both going to agree on this one.
Well, the quickest way, just go cut one of your arms off.
Oh, okay, we do not agree, but that works.
If you're purely looking for weight loss, that's going to lose a whole bunch of weight. So I would assume that whoever's written this question in is alluding to fat loss, not just weight loss, because there's obviously a difference. You can lose weight. You would be losing water weight. Jump in the sauna. You're going to do that real quick. Or if you want to lose muscle mass, which I'm assuming nobody really wants to do that, there's obviously weight that's going to be lost through those processes. I'm assuming that this person is just specifically talking about fat loss. And the quickest way is going to be through a calorie deficit. So probably going to, like Jono said, ruffle some feathers up with this, because I genuinely believe that it is an equation of calories in versus calories out. I understand there's going to be some hormonal and metabolic differences between person to person, but if you're not eating the calories that you're burning, you will lose fat.
Mm-hmm. And for anyone that wants to argue that, don't eat for 5 days.
You'll lose lots of weight as well, John.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fact. Like, if you just do not consume, you will lose weight. Your hormones won't hold on to something that's not there. The hormones had come huge with the balance of that equation.
Yes.
But you need to be in a calorie deficit. And unfortunately, if your hormones are out of whack, which is usually because, this is going to sound so mean, usually they're out of whack because you're overweight. That's a big factor. They will change that equation a bit, but they don't change that simple be in a deficit.
Yeah. I could be wrong here, and I don't want to sound stupid now, but I'm pretty sure that there's like a direct correlation with like estrogen levels if you have more body fat.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to sound wrong, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. Yeah. But I'm 90% sure that, if you have higher body fat percentage, you're more inclined to have higher estrogen levels.
Now, for those that are listening, if you do know the answer, please message us just to clarify, and we can even put up some studies.
Yeah.
From Wikipedia.
Cool.
Cool. Now, this one's pretty vague, but what is your opinion on the quickest way to get fitter? So
you take this one.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume this person is doing CrossFit, hence because they're listening to this podcast. And we've covered somewhat this before of focusing on your weaknesses. If you're looking at the world of CrossFit, the best way to get fitter is to focus on what your worst movements or worst stimulus is. So if thrusters for me, well, not anymore. No, actually, no, they still are. That's been proven literally a week ago. But let's just say a movement is your weakness, then improving on that movement will help. However, that movement might create a stimulus, whether it's a heavy movement, so it's not the movement itself, it's the strength. So then you need to increase your strength. If it's running, it might not just be fitness, it could just be specifically running kind of thing. So I would say just focus on what you're worst at and bring that level up, and that will help everything else rise as well, or not get hammered as much.
Yep. I would agree 100% with that. If you have a movement inefficiency, then you are by default putting more effort into the movement, which is going to make the movement feel harder and you're going to be working harder. So if you can eliminate the movement inefficiency, then you don't have to work as hard at the movement, so you can then get either the same amount of reps done and your effort level is way lower, or you can get more work done with the same amount of effort level. So improving your movement inefficiencies would be the easiest thing to, or maybe not the easiest thing, but one of the ones that you should definitely attack. If you're looking at it purely as like an engine piece, like you feel fit, but you just want to be a little bit fitter and you don't feel like there's any sort of one particular movement that's holding you back, then I would be suggesting that you need to be in the pain cave a little bit more, like really push that threshold. If you're not at the threshold, then you're not pushing the envelope to build your engine any further. So I would be trying to hurt a little bit more in your training sessions. That's the quickest way that you're going to do it.
Sucked in. That sucks. It's also a great opportunity.
Quick results.
Real
if you
quick.
hurt for like 3 weeks straight in every single Metcon that you do, I can guarantee you will start to feel fitter and you will feel more confident in your ability to push.
I just got an idea for another podcast.
All up here.
So thank you for that. That was good. Call it the...
Write it down because we'll forget otherwise.
Write it down right now. And then we'll get into the question. The next question, which I'll read, actually kind of leads more into this, and then we'll go back to the question I'm about to skip as well. But... you know what? Auto-corrected something differently, but that's okay. All right, so this one says, I'm a fitter athlete, so when should I prioritize strength over fitness? So I'm going to assume that strength is the weakness.
Yep, by the sounds of that.
You want to go with this one first?
What was the question? If strength, so
I'm a fitter athlete.
When should I be focusing?
Or when should I prioritize strength over fitness?
Right. So there'll be two sort of athletes that I'm thinking of. You'll either have your open athlete. So if you're getting to the open and you're not really progressing to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and any further, then your off season is going to start in March. But if you're then looking at doing local competitions and whatnot, then a whole nother season starts not long after that. So there's kind of two CrossFit seasons. You'll have a local CrossFit season, which is in the end of winter, kind of leading into summer, and then you'll have the CrossFit Open. So depending on how seriously you want to take your strength development, I would be saying through your off season is when you should be focusing on your strength, because strength takes time to develop. So you need to give it a longer time frame. So either straight away, as soon as your open season, your CrossFit Open season finishes, start to work on your strength. And if you're not going to see the gains that you want, if you need to put 40 kilos on your back squat, you're not going to do that in 1 8-week cycle. So then I personally would probably prioritize your strength training instead of the local competitions for a full season. But if you're that way inclined that you prefer to work on, or you really want to do your local comps, then it would just be in whenever your off season is. And you would just be putting all of your focus on your strength training during that time.
Yeah, I would agree. As soon as your off season starts, again, whenever that is, you need to keep going with your strength. I would go that if you want to compete at a high level, you are going to have to focus on your strength as soon as you can, for as long as you need, until you're at the numbers that you need to be at. We've done an episode about this before as well.
Yeah.
Like kind of the levels you have to be at and everything. And so, yeah, you need to find out the strength numbers that you need. And if you're not there, you need to work to have them. And if not, be very close to them.
Because they're like a ticket for entry, really, at the high level. If you haven't got that, then you haven't got the ticket to play with the big boys.
Yeah. I mean, you can get away with it, that's fine, but you're probably not going to achieve the highest goals.
No.
That's already really hard.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And it kind of led in from how to get fitter quicker. Fitter quicker.
Yeah.
Cool. So if I only want to gain a muscle, what should I be doing? Science.
Want to gain muscle.
Science. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
This is a science question.
Did you want to take this one, Jono?
I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but I actually feel like you're going to have a much deeper understanding on this one.
My opinion, this is real simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my 2 points of, not points of contact, points of focus that I would have for this person, and even for us as well, because even in the off season, I actually do prioritize these, is that you'll be focusing on muscle building activities. So instead of going for a run,
Is that muscle size that you're focusing on, or muscle strength that you're focusing on personally?
Personally, right now, I'm not going for muscle size.
Yeah, because I feel like that would also almost be counterproductive if you're putting on more muscle size, then you're heavier, then your gymnastics get harder, your running gets harder, and those sorts of things. So for someone that's, in your position, I don't think putting on muscle size is beneficial. Unless you're like 75 kilos and you need to get up a little bit heavier to then lift it a bit more. But, yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to ask.
No, that's not. Now you know. Now you know one of my secrets. No. So I actually focus on putting some size in the upper body over the off season. Even though I squatted like 7 days a week, it felt like that anyway. Purely just because I figured if I'm stronger in the upper body, regardless, it's going to help me in my gymnastics. Even if I'm a little bigger. But and then I focused a lot more on, because I struggle with this, is getting my protein in. And obviously you can't build muscle unless you're putting in protein to help your body have the fuel to actually build that specific type of muscle tissue, body tissue. There you go.
Another little additive to that is that fats are essentially the building blocks for all of the cells within the body. So if you're having high levels of protein but you're not having enough fats, that's also kind of like a limiting factor as well. So you can't just have high protein and no fats. It has to be a balance between your proteins, carbs, and fats.
There we go.
Just a little disclaimer.
Always. And if you have, I know you're not going to agree because you're Mr. Veggio, but if you have red meat, you'll get your fats in easier than if you have white meat.
I like peanut butter. No.
You can do peanut butter, that's fine, and that tastes super nice. So there you go. But yeah, that's all I would be focusing on, would be the correct movement to building that, and the correct nutrition to assist that.
So that's exactly where I would start, would be your nutrition. I would figure out what your base metabolic rate is, plus whatever activity levels you're currently at, is going to give you a calorie number that you should be chasing for daily. And then I would be adding a small surplus. That is it. So 200 to maybe 400 calories surplus. Anything more than that, you're going to be adding fat instead of muscle. You can argue that mass moves mass, so if you are heavier, then you'll be able to lift heavier, which in turn will build more muscle. So you could go that way, but then you just later down the track, you then have to burn the fat that you've just put on. So it does make the journey a whole lot harder. So that's where the 200 to 400 calorie surplus kind of is that sweet spot where you're putting on a little bit of muscle, hopefully, and you're not just putting on body fat through that process. Your training, if you're ideally trying to put on muscle, I think you need to focus on doing some sort of isolated work for that. I'm not saying isolation as in bicep curls. I'm saying isolation in I need to put on size of my shoulders. So on top of the training that you're already doing, put in some more work, some dumbbell press, some shoulder press, whatever it might be, to build that specific muscle group as well. So you can't just eat and expect to get bigger shoulders. That's not how it works. You've got to put the work into the muscle group that you're trying to build as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you eat, you'll probably get bigger shoulders, but you'll get a bigger belly first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do the right thing. That was it for the quickfire questions. So you've got the other listener question, the one that we want to spend a bit more time on.
So
the one that you have lots of experience with right now.
Yeah. So the bigger question was training mindset while having a long-term injury. How do you not get beat up about not lifting heavy and doing all the fun skills and still trying to push yourself? So that is a very good question. So I feel like I am almost in the same sort of situation, just with having surgery 6 weeks ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone quick though. So
Yeah,
that would be one thing that I would start with, is that every situation passes. Whatever situation you're in now, it will pass. So having that light at the end of the tunnel should be some sort of reassurance. I would be looking at it as what can you do now? What are you capable of doing physically within your training? And then trying to just achieve small goals within that kind of framework. So for me at the moment, the fact that I can do some handstand push-up work, and I'm now at a point where I can bike to some sort of intensity, they're my two little wins. So I'm doing heaps and heaps of handstand work, and every time that I can, I'm doing some work on the bike. We did some, not sprints, but some like interval style bike work yesterday actually, and that was a massive like mental win for me to be able to sit on an air bike for, it was like 20 minutes, but just doing little intervals, and I was like, yes, this is so good. So
cool,
wherever you can find little wins that are going to keep you motivated throughout that process, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, you will get past whatever's happening at the moment.
I like that thought. Hey, like at the very initial thought, like the very initial time you either have the surgery or the injury or the setback, like you're going to be fairly emotional. You can't avoid that, and unfortunately, you've got to think logically to help level those emotions out. And so, thinking, "Oh, this will pass," it's not something that you would be thinking at the time.
No.
But if you can somehow remind yourself of that, that'd be so helpful.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to use like Ricky's band, for example. Everyone was like, oh man, 4 years, his career's over, it's all done, blah, blah, blah. 4 years is so long, everything. 4 years later, third at the games.
Yeah.
Then he takes another year off for injuring himself, and that season's already done. Like, it's already done. It felt like he hurt himself yesterday.
Yeah.
And so it goes quick.
It goes
for
so
everyone around you too. So they're scared.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I think in 2020 hindsight, in 2 years' time, when the injury is no longer there, it's going to feel like it went by, boom, real quick. So try not to get caught up in the emotions of it, because I know it's hard, because you want to get out there and you want to lift heavy and you want to do all these sorts of things. If there is some sort of format where you can lift heavy, for me, like, I can still bench. So I'm getting under the bench as often as I can. So I'm trying to still lift heavy in whatever capacity I can. I'm sure there'd be some sort of capacity where you could lift, even if it's like you're reduced to doing pin-loaded machines. Like, you can still get good benefits from using pin-loaded weight machines at a Globo gym. It's better than nothing. It's going to maintain some sort of strength and some sort of muscle mass until you can get back to where you were before. So it's, yeah, just trying to find some little wins along the way and keep pushing, because that's also going to build character on the other side as well, because you'll have that sort of mental fortitude by the end of it, and you'll be able to say, no, I pushed through the last 3 months when I couldn't do jack. I still went in and I was working on this and that and this and blah, blah, blah. I was still kicking goals, doing all these other things. So, yeah, trying to find little wins and just trying to keep yourself motivated throughout the process.
Yeah, I think that's cool, man. I think coming up with a list to help you like a list of your can do's is super helpful. And then, like, I actually saw Swanee, he posted up because he's had elbow surgery, and he was talking about how he, when he trains through injury, he trains for maintenance more than anything. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little thought as well, that he's not using this time to improve, he's using this time to just not get worse.
Yeah.
And if that's going to help you get through it more positively, then that's awesome. But the biggest thing, we speak about the spiral all the time, just don't go downward spiral.
Yeah.
And whatever's going to help you do that, whether it's making lists of your can-dos, it's setting smaller goals, it's maintaining where you're at the best way you can, that's great. And if you don't know how to do that, and it's going to sound super cliche, find someone that can help you do that. Find a coach, find a mentor, find like just someone that either has experience or someone that's going to be real and keep you accountable and not like pander to you. And then that will help massively as well. And if you can do that to yourself, that's great. Good on you.
Yeah. I've actually got one little story. Well, there's a couple, but one little story. He was like a national level swimmer, and it was they were coming up, I think it was to the Commonwealth Games, it might have been, and he injured his shoulder in the lead up to it. And he was all bummed and had no idea. Like, he's a swimmer. What am I supposed to do when I can't swim? But his biggest weakness was the leg drive that he had or didn't have through his swimming. So the coach said every time that the team is in the pool swimming, you're going to get in the pool with your little arm brace and whatever, and you're just going to tread water the whole time. And he's like, that's stupid. What the fuck am I going to get out of doing that? Like, I'm not doing... Jumped in the pool and just tread water the whole time while the team was the training, until he got to the point where he could start doing other drills and start getting back into training, and slowly progressed his way back into training. Then the event rolled around. I think it was the Commonwealth Games, and he ended up gold medaling because he put that much time into his weakness that he actually improved more than what he would have if he didn't actually injure himself. Because he wouldn't have put the focus on the leg drive stuff that he had to while he was injured. So there can be, I know most people don't look at it, it can be a good thing being injured. Brent Fikowski's another example. I won't tell.
I was going to bring that up as well.
Yeah, but he's another example of exactly that.
Yeah. That's cool. Can you imagine the leg cramps from wading water with your legs only?
Yeah.
Man, I was swimming yesterday, and I was yesterday I was swimming, man. And I was just like doing a warm down, and I was like, I just like lie down on my back and I just coast. And from the previous days of training, my hamstring started to cramp, and I was just like, this is no good.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that would be brutal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing that now.
I'm glad I didn't do that, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should. With one leg. Ooh. I don't think you need to work on your swimming.
I need to work on my leg strength.
Yeah. Just one leg. Leg. There's plenty of tips. I like that story, though, as well, because it shows that he had a coach to direct him.
Yeah.
Kind of just took the decision away, said, this is what you got to do. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to be great.
Yep.
And then you're willing to listen to them. So find someone you trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can trust us.
Kind of. Most of the time.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there for the quick fire questions. We didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
So as always, if you've got any other questions that you want to ask us, hit us below in the comments on either Instagram, or you can DM us, or on Spotify, or on YouTube. So yeah, hit us up if you've got any questions, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.
See you.